Fundamentally, when you want to communicate with somebody, is a person introverted or extroverted? It can make a massive difference on how you transmit that message. What's your understanding of the difference between the two? Anyone? Yes, an introvert quite often gets their energy from themselves, and an extrovert actually goes on the other side and they actually draw their energy. It's all about the people around them. What else? What else is different between the two?
Introvert wouldn't put their hand up and answer this.
An introvert quite often keeps things to themselves. So if you're looking to get the idea throughout the last millimetre and you're dealing with an introvert, what have you got to do? Say again? Ask questions, get them involved, respect, create the space for them. So let's have a look at the difference between introversion and extroversion. Introverts love to create space. What do extroverts like to do? They want to go in there and fill the space. Now, I'm big on introverts, and Susan Cain came out with a fabulous book a few years ago. Has anybody else read it? Called Quiet. It's the power of being an introvert in a world that can't stop talking. Her premise is, if you go back 100 years, it was much more about a person's character that counted. Now what's it about? It's about a person's personality, how big they are, how grand they are, how much they can project on the world. And she says in the book, it'd probably be practically impossible to get into Harvard Business School and do an MBA unless you're an extrovert or you portray yourself as an extrovert. And we've seen the consequences of this going from an age of character to an age of personality. It's played out in corporate life over the last few years, hasn't it? Do you remember the Lehman disaster? What's going on in politics right now? And Susan Cain's premise is, let's get back to where a person's character counts. It's not about the big flamboyant, hey, look at me. Let's get back to really considering, really understanding what's really going on in somebody's mind. Create space for them. Fabulous book. There's a good TED talk on it as well if you're interested. So my first question is, do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert? And now this is not going to be about me just being up here and talking. Now the room's going to get into action because I want you to actually move and illustrate this. So introverts to this side of the room, please. Extroverts to this side of the room. Now, somebody said to me years ago that the meaning of my communication is the result I get. Now, that was a very clear communication, wasn't it, please? Introverts to this side of the room, extroverts to that side of the room. But we have this middle ground here. Now, why is that? It's probably because you can't answer the question. So in other words, you consider yourself, well, actually, sometimes I'm this and sometimes I'm that. Is that correct? Or you're just plain awkward.
Probably maybe an introvert, but social life and corporate life makes you have to be an extrovert.
Yes, so there's actually the way we are and the way we sometimes perceive we have to be. So in other words, judgments come in, structures come in. But actually, there is a spectrum. You can, if you actually put a scale from 0 to 150, you can actually score right in the middle. And there's actually technically a term called ambivert. 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 So you can actually be straddling the, if this was the Greenwich Meridian, you could be in the east and the west at the same point because you're actually straight in the middle. Now, for the purposes of the exercise, an introvert is somebody that you have a day to yourself. So you've got a day ahead of you, no responsibilities whatsoever. Would you tend to spend it on your own, or would you get on the phone and go out and meet somebody? Can you answer that question? What would you prefer to do? On the phone, go that side. Steve?
Yeah, it depends which day of the week, but I'll make it easy for you and go with it.
Yeah, thank you very much. And yourself, ma'am? Okay. If you had to choose one or the other.
He's not going to let us stay in the middle.
And statistically, the room's divided because there are twice as many extroverts in the world as introverts. Which is why introverts quite often feel marginalized in the workplace. Because the world is the world full of, hey, come on, let's get active, let's get out there, let's make it happen. But there's power. Now, the thing about the tool I developed, respect each other. Introverts respect what the extroverts bring, extroverts respect what the introverts bring. Does that make sense? So that's the first cut of the die.